Grizzlies fans, welcome back. It is another game against the Trailblazers. This one, though, tips off at 8 p.m. Joining me is Brooke Olzendam, my absolute favorite. Are you ready to break this one down? Because last game was exciting. Obviously, I didn't like the ending, but it was exciting. And then we had another one now tonight.
It's crazy. I was joking on the broadcast. I'm like, Memphis staff and players are having a weekend here in Portland, but I feel terrible. I mean, it is the most Portland-esque weekend in terms of weather that you could ever imagine. It's been pouring the entire time. In the summer, if you got a nice weekend in Portland, it's great. I'd give you all these recommendations. I'll, tell the guys where to go. It's so miserable out that I just feel like kind of bad. Like, the one time you actually get to stay in one city for more than a couple nights is rare. And then they're here and you guys are here. But I will say, like, the first game on Friday was, as you and I were kind of chatting before this started, it was all over the place. It was crazy. There were so many things I haven't seen yet this season. The flopping technical. I remember that happened to you guys at first. And I turned around to our trainer sits behind me. I go, I haven't seen that all year. He's like, no, you never see that. And then we got one later in the game. Oh. And then the coaches' challenges turned out to be huge. We're down, our starting point guard starting to, they switch a lot, but like our two probably biggest court leaders were down. So wasn't sure what to expect. And then down 18 at one point, down 10 with 3 minutes to go. And then there was that steal that you guys had that I was like, that's it. We're done. Like that, the game's over. And then a couple weird things. It was just a very rapidly, like fast-paced game that so many weird things were happening that at one point I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And I changed my post-game interview about 5 times. It's a wild one when you do that, but it's interesting situation to play the same team twice in their spot. So I have no idea what to expect Sunday. I feel truly like, as someone that, you and I, have similar jobs. So I feel for you covering a team that you just want them to get that first win. And I'm in a weird spot where I also want you to get that first win, but playing each other, it's interesting. So I feel bad for any team that's going through a struggle and to start off the season like that. And obviously I think that later on the season, when you get your guys back, it'll be a whole different ball game and we'll have a whole different conversation when we're in Memphis. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But that was a wild one. Our first overtime game of the season. I know it's early. I don't know about you guys, but it was our first one. So extra basketball and it was exciting. But it was dramatic.
It was dramatic. It was it ended up being a 2-point game if someone didn't watch it in overtime. And it went into overtime with a Shaedon Sharpe block in the corner on Luke Kennard. It was a big game from him. I know you mentioned in your post game, you were like, hey, he's happy to not be interviewed, but he played such a big role. He had 22 points. Obviously I like to shout out all the Canadians. What have you liked from, I mean, I know you said you're out 2 guys, but the people that you do have right now, you have DeAndre Ayton, who's a new addition, who played really well. He had 1,000 rebounds. What did he have?
Yeah.
12 rebounds, 16 points. You got Brogdon, Sharpe, and Jeremy Grant, who had 26 points there. And everyone played big minutes. So I'm wondering, like, even on our side, the guys are playing, 30, 40 minutes, the starters. What do you like about what you've seen with those guys? And then 2, you expect a slower game, maybe?
I mean, I can't be faster, can it? It felt like it was very fast. I will say that. That third quarter, I host, pre-post and half. So I'm coming down from the concourse into the third quarter. And so I get there sometimes, if I'm chatting with people, I get there a little bit into the third quarter. I swear to God, it was the fourth quarter by the time I got to my seat. It was wild. The third quarter flew by. But I will also say, in terms of Shaedon, when I joke a lot about Shaedon. If anyone's listening that watches a lot of NBA League Pass and you watch a lot of Blazers games, Shaedon is the quintessential 19, 20-year-old. He's now 20, but in my mind, he'll be 19 forever. Of course, he was 19 when he was our rookie, and he went to college, but he didn't play college ball, and he wasn't interviewed by media in high school. So this, like his rookie season was the first time he even knew what media was, and he's the sweetest, I would say, naive in the most beautiful way, where he asks me questions all the time. And I joke, he's like, the red lights on the camera, Brooke, what does that mean? I was like, that means that we're about to do the interview. So is it live? I'm like, well, not yet. It's not, it's live to tape. What does that mean? Like, he has so many questions and he does not like being the center of attention. So that's why I was kind of laughing, because I didn't choose him for the post-game interview, even though he was phenomenal, because we just had him a couple nights before and I knew he was sick. So I probably should have prefaced it by that. But so Jeremy was our post-game interview, and even he
He'll
looked
play
at me
great.
afterwards. He looked at me. He's like, "Not me, right?" I was like, "No, not you. You're fine. You're good." And he sprinted to the locker room. So I was like, "I gave you the night off, Shaden." But that block, and he talked about it post-game. He said what happened was, and when you go back and look at the replay, you can totally see it going down. He said, "I lost him." He goes, "I lost my guy, Luke Kennard." He goes, "I lost him." And you saw him do like a double take where he looked this way, couldn't find him, looked this way, and then saw him. He said, "I didn't think I was going to get there in time." But he's so beautifully athletic in such a like natural way that his sheer ability to jump got him in that play. And he got his hands on it, and then the place went wild. That was a huge play. Shaden has been unreal, and one of the reasons why is because of his athleticism, but also he's now starting to like learn the NBA, which is a huge thing. Chauncey always talks about it. He says he's got the ability, it's just natural, but he needs to learn the ins and outs, doing your homework, doing your research, getting ready to play your opponent. What's your opponent, going to bring to the table, and how can you combat that? And those are things that seem like, common sense, but if you've never done it before and you've just like kind of, I don't want to say skated by on your athleticism, that's not it. He's a very hard worker, but it's a whole new ball game, literally. And so he has really taken that to heart, and he's very serious about his film, sits with coaches all the time, and is totally into it. And you can see that paying dividends this season, especially now, like we mentioned, those two guys out, like he's been super important.
Jaren Jackson Jr. on our end and Desmond Bain combined for 63 points. They had a whole bunch of rebounds. They both had 3 blocks. The bench, however, had 13 points. What do you think? Jaren and Des, what did they do to the defense? And do you think it's sustainable moving into the second game against Portland?
You know what I noticed, and I said it in our post-game interview, the way that Jaren shoots the ball is so unorthodox that I'm like, it's like I'm talking to your fan base, so it's not like anything like you haven't seen it, but it's like he's running and then just kind of like shot puts it up, while his body's in motion. It's unbelievable. It's a true talent. Like it's a very much a skill. And I'm so impressed by it. I said that a couple of times last night. Like, how are these, it doesn't look like it's like a natural shot, but like that's his shot. And he's very talented at it. And we had like a whole thing in pregame about him versus Jeremy Grant and that, back and forth. And he's a tough guard. He's a tough cover. So he obviously, scored at will. But I do think like maybe it depends on, how the Blazers combat that in terms of how they make adjustments to from last game to this game, because if he can continue to score like that, you never know. So I think that they did the best they could, but I think might be some adjustments made because there were lots of, especially in the first half, defensive breakdowns. Like you guys had so many passes down low, like really impressive, like pick and rolls that like we obviously didn't see coming. So I think the second half, they kind of got it figured out, but we'll see the adjustments made by both teams. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I've never been more excited about a game this whole season because truly because of the drama of last game. And if, Blazers get it, that's great. They're kind of on a little bit of a roll here. If you guys win, you got your first win and you can build on it. So,
well, that's that, Brooke.
That's that.
I'm excited too. I hope you have a really great game. I personally hope that we win, but I love your interviews too. So thank you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.